Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States. Honest Abe, rail splitter, man of the people, wearer of stovepipe hats, alleged bisexual. Yes, we are here to talk about the sexuality of one of America's most beloved presidents. And it's more complicated than you might think. You see, some people believe that Lincoln was indeed bisexual, or as they say, he had attractions to both men and women. And they have evidence to back up their claim, at least they think they do. Meanwhile, others vehemently disagree, claiming that there is no evidence that Lincoln was bisexual, and those who say otherwise are misinterpreting history or worse, lying. So today, we're going to unpack this debate, look into the evidence, tell you where the arguments stand, and let you decide for yourself. It should go without saying that if you find this topic offensive or distasteful, you don't have to watch this video. And while we won't be showing anything explicit, we will be discussing mature themes. Also, this video is not intended to be anti-anyone. We're simply trying to explore an interesting topic, and we'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, remember that this is a historical event. We're talking about how things were then, not now. Social norms, expectations, and even definitions of words were very different in Lincoln's time. Keep all this in mind and let's begin. When it comes to Lincoln's sexuality, the main question we need to answer is this: did he engage in sexual relationships with men? If so, this would suggest that he was bisexual. And if not, well, then he wasn't. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, yes and no. The answer depends on who you ask, because opinions vary wildly on this issue. There are two camps: those who think Lincoln was bisexual and those who think he wasn't. The latter group usually argues that there is no hard evidence that Lincoln slept with anyone of the same sex, citing his marriage to Mary Todd and the fact that he fathered for children as proof that he was straight. But what does the former group say? Are they able to provide any evidence for their claims? You bet they are. Take a look at this picture, for example. It's a daguerreotype from 1846 that depicts Lincoln along with two other men, his law partner, John T. Stuart, and a former state senator named Joshua Speed. What makes this image so interesting is the way the three men are positioned. As you can see, Lincoln and Speed are laying their heads on each other's shoulders in a rather intimate fashion, which was unusual, to say the least, for a public photograph. Furthermore, another photo taken around the same time shows Lincoln alone in his Springfield, Illinois bedroom. And what do we see? The same position, his head resting on his own shoulder. Was this just a quirky habit of Lincoln's? Maybe, but some argue it's more evidence of something else. The argument goes like this: Lincoln was famous for his bear hugs, a gesture he often used to greet friends and acquaintances. This bear hug was so well known that a local paper once wrote, "A shake of the hand with him is like a kiss from a lover, so if this is true." Could this Springfield bedroom pose be similar to Lincoln's bear hug, a friendly gesture between friends? Or is there something more there? Some say that the evidence points towards bisexuality, but others beg to differ. They say that Lincoln and Speed were close friends, so much so that they shared a bed while traveling. In fact, they did this for years. When asked why they shared a bed, Lincoln reportedly said, "If there is anything in the world that the people will more readily believe about me, it is that I am a sensualist and have been in bad company, or, as they say, have lived with a man to whom they know I have a strong attachment." Others point out that the photos are more evidence of Lincoln's close relationship with Stuart, not Speed, since the two of them worked together. It's possible that they wanted to appear close to show their camaraderie. In short, Lincoln's supporters argue that the pictures prove bisexuality, while his detractors say that they don't. But these photos aren't the only evidence offered by those who believe Lincoln was bisexual. They also bring up the time when he attended the National-era Anti-Slavery Convention in 1838. The story goes like this. One evening after the convention, Lincoln and other attendees gathered at the home of Benjamin Lundy, a prominent abolitionist. At some point during the evening, Lundy excused himself to go to the bathroom, at which point someone shouted, "Leck him up, Abe," before Lincoln did so. For those wondering what leck means, it's an old word meaning to lick. So essentially, Lincoln allegedly licked the face of an African-American man in front of a group of people. Needless to say, this is pretty shocking if true. However, the story first appeared in print 70 years after the incident, and the original source, Benjamin Lundy Jr., never mentioned it. Additionally, we have yet to find any evidence proving that Lincoln was ever even at the party in question. As such, this story is most likely an urban legend. But what about the alleged cover-up afterwards? After all, if it's true that Lincoln did this, why didn't anyone mention it for decades? Well, to be fair, those who say Lincoln was bisexual don't actually use this story as evidence. Rather, they cite it as proof of a potential conspiracy. The idea is that Lincoln's alleged bisexuality was well known, which is why there was a massive cover-up after the party. Abolitionists wanted to keep Lincoln's sexuality hidden to protect him politically. However, there is absolutely no evidence that anyone tried to cover up this supposed party incident. In fact, we can't even confirm that Lincoln attended the party in the first place. So we can't really base any conclusions on it. That being said, many of Lincoln's detractors like to use this story as proof that Lincoln was not bisexual. Finally, let's discuss one of the strangest pieces of evidence offered by Lincoln's supporters, his alleged male lovers. Over the years, several names have been put forward as Lincoln's lovers, including Joshua Speed, John Hanks, Bob Todd, and William Wallace. There is little to no evidence that any of these men slept with Lincoln, and those who make this claim often cherry-pick isolated incidents to fit their narrative. For example, some have pointed out that Lincoln called his friend John Hanks the closest man to me in the world, but Lincoln said that many times. He also said that about Joshua Speed. Another piece of evidence offered is the fact that Lincoln carried a lock of dark hair with him for many years, which supposedly came from his alleged lover, Bob Todd. However, there is no proof that the two men were romantically involved. And as far as the hair goes, Lincoln carried it with him as a memento, perhaps because it reminded him of his deceased friend. His detractors argue that this is merely a coincidence, and there is no solid evidence that any of these men slept with Lincoln. As you can see, there is a lot of debate surrounding Lincoln's sexuality. Those who say he was bisexual offer photos, quotes, and alleged lovers to back up their claim, while his detractors say that there is no hard evidence and what little there is can be explained away. So what do you think? Do you think Lincoln was bisexual or not? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, here's a few from our last video about Andrew Jackson's assassination. Comment number 1 reads, "Well, this was entertaining to watch. Just thought he was gonna walk up behind him and shoot him while everyone was listening to him speak. Kind of a waste of time waiting." Comment no 2 reads, "So basically Andrew Jackson died from lead poisoning." And comment no 3 reads, "That guy shot Lincoln's assassin." I love America. Before we wrap things up, we want to give a huge shout out to our supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us. We couldn't do this without you. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then you too can support us. The link, too, that is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out one of our other videos. We think you'll enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe.